Breaking news story. In the eastern Ukrainian city of Donetsk, a group of activists have declared their region independent from Kiev. It happened after protesters stormed a local government building last night. Mass demonstrations against the country's new leadership started peacefully on Sunday, but that situation quickly escalated. Let's cross live now to our correspondent Maria Vinoshina. So, Maria, what more has been announced?
Well, indeed, it seems that tensions are escalating in eastern Ukraine. We hear that in the city of Donetsk, known as the industrial capital of this region, protesters who earlier had occupied the regional government building now announced the creation of Donetsk Sovereign Republic. These people have been asking for their right for self-determination for several weeks already, taking to the streets and occupying governmental buildings. They've been calling on Crimea-style referendum to decide their region's future, and they have been asking for more independence from Kiev, and they have set a deadline for regional deputies to pushing them together for an emergency session to decide this, to make a decision, to vote on this issue. And when their demands were not met, this is what they announced. This is their reaction. So far, we haven't heard about any reaction from Kiev's side, but we have to say that in two other cities in eastern Ukraine, again in Kharkiv and in Lugansk, the buildings of local security still remain taken by similar protesters who say they do not recognize the country's new authorities. They do not consider them as legitimate power. And in the city of Lugansk, again, also the building of National Bank is taken by these groups of protesters. Well, while making their way into these governmental buildings, protesters have been clashing with police loyal to Kiev, of course, but fortunately so far we haven't heard about casualties. Well, the situation remains very tense, and indeed it is even escalating. And meanwhile, we hear that our colleagues from Rapli video agency were not allowed to enter the city of Donetsk, and they were stopped because their passports were stamped here in Simferopol, that is now following the referendum of March 16th, a part of Russian Federation. And Kiev's authorities announced that they will not allow anybody on the Ukrainian territory with Simferopol stamp in their passports. And this is a very alarming news. It's not for the first time that media is not allowed on the Ukrainian territory to work, to cover the events there. And this is even something that some members of the OSCE delegation that is now in the city of Kharkiv, the eastern Ukraine's capital, for a 6-month-long mission to monitor the situation there, said they are very worried about. Well, Kiev is also anxious about what's going on and how things are developing in eastern Ukraine, and we know that the country's acting president cancelled all his trips yesterday to be able to monitor closely the situation. We hear that Yulia Tymoshenko is now on her way to the city of Donetsk, and we also hear from Interior Minister that they will do their best to prevent any violence, to avoid what happened in Kiev, but at the same time that all those responsible for these protests will be severely punished. Back to you.